explosive all the way around?
I would like to say so, yes. I mean, I feel like as an offense, I feel like we all know we got a lot of guys who can make plays, and we got a lot of guys who we can trust to make those plays. So as long as we keep doing that, I feel like we're going to be a much explosive team for sure.
What's the big difference from a year ago? Corey, obviously not being in the mix a year ago, but is there more to it than that? Is it just maturity? What?
Could definitely be maturity. It could be maturity. It could be the focus we all had this year. Everyone's locked in. Everyone knows what the season could be for us this year, and I feel like we all just really want to make sure we do our part to make sure that happens.
When you pick up, do you look at the stat sheet after a year?
No.
You don't. You totally avoid it.
I see my coach the next day, and he'll let me know all the goods and the things I need to work on. But I don't like ask, how many catches I had, how many yards I had. Usually someone might tell me or things like that.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Guys, last year, with a lot of injuries, you guys weren't able to be as multidimensional maybe as you could have been at all times. With the running game working well and Troy doing a great job as a tight end there too, how much easier does that make your job when the offense is working as well as it can?
That works both ways. If the running backs are getting 10 yards a pop on runs, then might force the defense to come up a little bit, and that just opens it up for us as receivers on the outsides and take shots deep and things like that. So it works both ways and helps us all out.
And you were talking about some of those younger guys getting opportunities. When they get in there late in games, how does your role change? You guys work as mentors. Do you talk to them when they come to the sideline? How do you look at them in that second half?
For sure, because I was in those situations a couple years ago and things like that. So whenever they come to the side, if they have questions or if I see something out there that they may not have seen, just remind them, let them know, do this or do that and things like that.
I know you were pretty frustrated with after the Northwestern game last year. Did you kind of feel like you still had that chip on your shoulder until you got that first touchdown out of the way?
I feel like that chip will be on my shoulder for a while, not because it was a touchdown called back, but because it was something that sparked in me that just made sure that I had to finish every catch and make sure I can't leave anything for question.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
So you still think about that call against Northwestern and think that taught you a lesson? Or?
Taught me a lesson. That's what I'd say. I wouldn't say I think about it and things like that, but it definitely taught me a very strong and powerful lesson to always finish things.
How much better do you think you got from last season to this season? Obviously career highs on in the second game of the season, but how much better do you think you got, and what areas do you think you got better in?
I feel like I got a lot better. I've learned so much more from Alex, and even Rob, and every guy before me. So I feel like I've learned so much more, and that's just helped me grow as a player and the preparation and things I need to do to be a better player. And those areas that I've grown in is those areas of focus. The preparation part is probably the biggest one for me, and the finishing part with catches and things like that, even though that's one of those things I still need to keep working on.
What are some of the things that you mentioned earlier about how you have Coach Gilmore tell you about what you did well, what you did wrong? What are some of the feedback that you received from your position coach yesterday?
Some of the feedback, he told me a great job looking the balls in, finishing, catching them, getting right upfield, not doing too much dancing and things like that. And some of the things I still needed to work on, some of those blocks, there were some blocks that could have been made to help spring runs to go even further and things like that. And that's one of those things he strives for us to really make sure that we're always doing in practice, is making those blocks. And it's just one of those things I just got to keep working on.
When it comes to facing Georgia State, obviously a Sun Belt Division I team, but you don't want to look ahead. But how hard is it to not look ahead when it comes to facing an opponent, and obviously a large, daunting conference slate coming up?
It's not hard to look ahead at all. I focus 1 week at a time, and I feel like that's what this whole team has been doing. I feel like that's something that's been great for us, is always focusing 1 week at a time, one game at a time, make every game a big game, because to accomplish what we want to accomplish this year, we're going to have to do that. We can't look ahead. We got to make sure we're locked in on the now.
I remember Tony Cartagena talking about the text or the tweet from Donald Driver, and you responded back. Is it still surreal hearing back from Driver?
For sure. That was something that blew my mind. When I was told, I was like, who? Like, are you sure? It was one of those things. To have someone of that nature say something to you like that, that goes a long way, and that's something I took to heart, and that was awesome to hear.
Last question: when it comes to the smooth as jazz hands, is there a nickname you like, or are they a pet peevy, if you will? How did I just came up with that? What was the Is any nicknames that you like on that? Or?
I hear Jazz is nickname enough. I mean, I don't know what a nickname would really be. Everyone says Jazz is pretty much a nickname as its own.